Yo, welcome back to another Borderlands 4 build video, and today we finally cracked the Harlowe skill tree, the bubble skill tree, 0 point, so let's get right into it. So this build and setup pretty much has it all. At first I really struggled to try and get the bossing side of things, but I think I finally got it cracked. I think we're finally good to go, and honestly it's probably one of my favourites to play at the moment. So yeah, let's start with the infamous blue skill tree, which is honestly pretty shocking most of the time, because the action skill's not necessarily bad, but it's mainly for mobbing, and then if you're built fully into mobbing, there's not really much mobbing going on in the game. You're going to struggle when it comes to bosses. But here we go. So our first 5 points are going into parallel circuit, which is after triggering or re-triggering an action skill, Harlowe gains increased gun damage. So with the bubble, you can obviously put someone into a bubble and you can also slam them down. So for either or, every 8 seconds or so you can do that and re-trigger it. Doesn't work on bosses, but works really well on the ads around bosses. So you want to throw it on a boss and just get the gun damage for the 8 seconds. It's probably all you need for it. But if you want to put it on an ad and be safe and re-trigger that 8 seconds to get 30% gun damage so that it lasts a little bit longer for you, then you can do it that way as well. We put 1 point in to make extraordinary. In my last video I did basically rant about this skill, saying it says Harlowe gains critical hit chance with all skills, and it doesn't really like specify what's a skill. Obviously they're all skills, but like which one it actually like functions with. One thing I didn't actually clock onto is that I'm pretty sure entangle counts as a skill, so basically it's just critical hit chance, and I have seen it work a little bit, so we did just stick 1 point into it for the 2% chance. We're using multiple pellet weapons, so it hits more than you actually think it does. We go 1 point into negative entropy, just to move on down to precision engineering, so we go 3 points into there as well, which is critical hit damage. We're going 4 points into bright future. Originally I did do 5, but I moved my point out to get that critical hit chance. Bright future is just fire rate whenever I trigger the action skill or re-trigger it, so we get the gun damage and the fire rate, 30% of each I believe it is. So yeah, 30% gun damage, 30% fire rate for 8 seconds, so they stack quite nice with each other. Then we go 1 point into ripple effect, which is a kill skill. Whenever Harlowe kills an entangled enemy, automatically entangle another nearby enemy. This is basically for mobbing, but if you're doing bossing as well and you kill like an ad first, for example, then it works quite well. It'll move it on to the boss most likely. Our augment will be running for bossing, or pretty much throughout all of it, is a wildcat destabilization. So entangled enemies take bonus radiation damage from entangle, so once they're entangled they will take bonus radiation damage. There's a very big reason as to why I use this. Originally I wasn't using it and I didn't realize how good it actually is for this setup that I've done. Yeah, we basically need the radiation damage for something in the green tree, so we'll be using that, plus it also allows them to take more damage. I believe radiation still works that way. We go 5 points into unstable isotope, which is a kill skill. Harlowe deals bonus cryo damage from all sources, so kill an enemy, gain 35% of your damage extra as cryo damage. So we're just stacking multiple elements here as well, so we've got the radiation and we've got the cryo. Then that also works really well into keep ice on that, which is all cryo damage Harlowe deals against lifesteal. If Harlowe's health is full, she gains overshield instead. We're using the what's for dinner shield, so we're always having the overshield keeping us up all times. It's really good for survivability, and it's really good to get that extra damage out, because we get 25% shock damage from the what's for dinner, so that's 3 different elemental types. And then we go to triple point, which is whenever Harlowe deals non-cryo damage to an entangled enemy, she deals bonus cryo damage to that enemy. If she deals cryo damage to an entangled enemy, she deals increased bonus damage. So this stacks really well with this. So bonus cryo damage from all sources, and then this will also stack really well with this. If we're doing no cryo damage, it's 15%, but if we're doing cryo, it's a 30% increase the damage. And for our capstone, we have got cold plunge, which is whenever Harlowe slams an enemy, create a singularity on the enemy, followed by a cryo explosion. This is purely for mobbing capabilities. The other 2 capstones never really felt like they were actually going to work for this setup. This one works really well for mobbing, so we went and picked this. But all of these are really essential to make this build function the way that it does. The green tree will kind of explain it a little bit more, But yeah, so that's the base of everything. We're getting a load of cryo damage, radiation damage, we're stacking overshield here, and we're getting a good amount of crit damage and fire rate in this tree. Moving on over to the green tree, we are getting 5 points into momentum, which is whenever Harlowe entangles an enemy, she and her allies deal increased critical hit damage. You entangle a boss, 25% increased crit damage for 12 seconds. It's really, really nice. We're built quite heavily into crit here. So yeah, we'll take 5 points there. Then we're going 5 points into Neutron Decay, which is whenever Harlowe irradiates an enemy, she gains increased gun damage. This affects stacks. So it stacks up to 5 times, and it's 10% per stack for 12-second duration. This is what allows us to stack, well, 50% more gun damage, because we pair it alongside our augment, which is enemies take bonus radiation damage from entangle. So all we have to do is stack that up 5 times, we get 50% more gun damage, and we get radiation damage on top of that because we're irradiating the enemy. Then we go 2 points into mass function, which is Harlowe and her allies gain increased reload speed for every entangled enemy. This is just a nice little bonus. Feel free to put your points anywhere, but I like the reload speed. If you want, yeah, literally put it wherever you want. If you want cryo efficiency, go for that. Anywhere in this top section, feel free. Then 3 points into creative overflow. Harlowe deals increased gun damage based on her overshield. The more overshield she has, the bigger the bonus. So our overshield is always going to be near max because we have the lifesteal from cryo. So we get lifesteal, then overshield. We get 25% shock damage from What's for Dinner and 36% increase gun damage with our overshield is full. Sadly, this is kind of the only option I can pick here. I was thinking about taking 4 points out of this and putting 4 into there, but I also think that might kind of negate parts of the build. So Harlowe's basically, it's handling. It's not great. So Harlowe gains increased gun handling, which is further increase of every enemy in their flux generator. The flux generator is not being used, so it's 50% gun handling. There's not really much I can do here. If you want to put your points into here, you can do, but I wouldn't recommend putting your points into Gamma Ray Burst, because basically when she triggers or re-triggers her action skill, the next shot will drain a shield. We want our shield and overshield to be up at all times, so we don't really want that, and we're already getting bonus radiation damage, and it's only for 1 shot, I believe, so it doesn't really seem that worth it. But we have worked our way down here to put our last 3 points into critical funding. Whenever Harlowe critically hits an enemy, she gains a chance to entangle it and refills a portion of her gun's magazine. So we're entangling the enemy and we're getting the ammo back into the mag. There's really, really big factors as to why we need this. There's a reason I built down the green tree to get it. It kind of reminds me of playing Mose, and Mose was one of my favourite characters in Borderlands 3. So we're just getting a nice flow of ammo back into the magazine. Additional points from the class mod, I will kind of go over it a bit more when I hover over the class mod, but we want to aim for a high amount of points into meltdown. So Harlowe's critical hits with guns deal bonus radiation damage, so that's even more radiation damage stacked on top. This does make a big difference. So yeah, try and get as many points into meltdown as you can. And apart from that, that's pretty much most of it on the skill tree side of things. So we'll quickly do the specializations. Most of it's gone into brute, so it's just gun damage. I've gone 20 survivor, 20 sharpshooter. Don't really need to worry about how much you really go into these. At least go 20 into all of them, and then that's about it, because the damage drop off, you can see it's very, very high. You don't need that many points into brute. So we're going riddle you this, which is Vault Hunter gains increased damage whenever they deal gun damage for 50 stacks, so it's 50%. Then we got in the zone while aiming, the Vault Hunter gains increased gun damage and critical hit damage per second. You can use this. I have it on, but I don't really aim in that much. If you want the extra damage, just remember to aim in before you start actually the boss fight, and you'll be fine. So we've got the best defense, which is Vault Hunter gains increased damage dealt based on the fullness of their shield or health. Whichever is higher. The shield is higher, I believe, in this build, so once there's an overshield on, then you've always got that uptime, so it's 30% increased damage when full. And 1 shot 1 kill, which is a kill skill. Excess damage will be stored and added to your next gunshot. So this is basically for mobbing. It just keeps mobbing in a nice smooth pace, and you should be able to wipe out enemies quite quickly with it. And finally, onto the loadout and the inventory and everything we're using to make this thing absolutely pop off. So there's only really one important thing in the weapon department. We are using a bod. I've got one for mobbing and I've got one for bossing. Originally I tried to use the casing because of the torque stickies. For some reason it doesn't work. The fire rate's actually too high to get the ammo back in the magazine to keep the stickies up at all times. But so I ended up rolling a bod which has torque stickies on it. I didn't even know you could get torque stickies on a bod. So the second I got it, I was like, alright, I need to give this a go. It works so well with this build. The ammo goes back into the magazine constantly, and obviously the damage is increased by 3% for each sticky, and it shoots a spread anyways of like 6. So 5, sorry. Yeah, so it keeps stacking. I never really have to reload with it on bosses, and then whenever I do reload, it obviously does the explosion and it melts the boss. That is the only one thing that if you want to do bossing very, very consistently to the point where you just nearly one-shotting everything, this is what you will need. You will need to get stickies on a bod. If you just want to do casual bossing that takes a little bit longer, you can just use a normal one. You can use a normal bod or the casing or whatever it is. You can use it, but I promise you, this is a game changer. So the torque stickies on a bod is an absolute game changer. It's the most important thing for the setup. Then onto our gear at the bottom, we're running a triple bypass. So 3 charges, and I rolled it with Enrage, so increased damage dealt by 30%, but damage taken by 15. It's just really nice to stack up damage on bossing. So we got the crit knife. We're using the crit knife just to consistently get ammo back into the magazine. It doesn't really... I use it for the ammo back in the mag. The actual damage output, you can get the crit knife to be on them when the stickies go off, but a lot of the time I don't really need it. So it's just there to basically stack stickies on targets. So yeah, we're using that. The class mod is the Graphite Trooper, which is critical hits with guns partially restore ordnance cooldown. So we have the crit knife up at all times as well. On ordnance activation, gain gun damage and action skill damage for duration. It doesn't actually specify how much gun damage we're actually getting. I don't know if you inspect it, you actually get to see that. No, you do not. But yeah, this thing's amazing. So I rolled 4 into Meltdown, I believe it is. That's the only one you really need the most points into. The rest of them, you can just go wherever you want. I rolled pistol damage, which is really nice because that works more with the bots. I get 45% damage with that. The ordnance damage, not really important, but it will always roll with it, so you can't really go wrong. But it will. This class mod is the one for this. The damage increase and everything is just, it's crazy. Like I said before, we're using the What's for Dinner. I have got Siphon on this as well, which is basically gives me overshield, but if you can't roll that, it doesn't matter. You'll get the overshield from the bonus cryo damage in the skill tree. This is just for the 25% increase, or 25% shock damage, so we're getting an extra element, so we're basically built into 3 elements here. But yeah, What's for Dinner is the one for this setup for sure, because you can't really go wrong with the 25% shock damage addition. And finally, the enhancement, which isn't that important. If you want to try and get a Daedalus one or something, go for it. I'm using a purple one specifically, so I get 3 rolls. So I've got the shotgun damage and the sniper damage. Those 2 are really, really important for me because of the bod. So I'm basically getting 2 types of damage out here. I think I'm getting, 76? Yeah, I'm getting 76% increased damage with the bod. So that is the reason why we're running this. I'm not really running Malawan whatsoever, but none of the actual enhancement perks really benefit this setup that much. I did kind of mess around with them a bit, but I couldn't really get anywhere with it. But yeah, just make sure you try and roll shotgun damage, sniper rifle, pistol, any of the damage types. Try and roll 2 of those and you'll be laughing. And we just got firmware to go over. We're going 3 Deadeye, gun accuracy, gun crit damage, and then every crit grants critical damage per stack. 5 stacks for 10 seconds, it's 15%. So yeah, big one here. We've got a lot of crit damage going on, so we go 3 Deadeye. And then because we're using stickies and they are splash, I've gone for splash radius and splash damage here with airstrike. I did mess around with some other things, but overall this seemed to work the best. And you may ask, why am I not going into splash damage in the skill tree? When I did do it, it didn't add that much of a bonus, but when I did it with airstrike, it kind of felt like it actually affected it a little bit. Plus, I don't know what other 2-pointers I'd actually go into. I've got a load of gun damage. I might as well take the splash radius and the splash damage and it works fine. If you want to swap airstrike out, feel free, but it works really well for me. I'm just going to show some gameplay now and some bits and bobs, but that'll do it from me. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you give it a go and try the build out. It is amazing, to be honest. It works really, really well, and it's probably going to be my new main for a while. So yeah, I'll catch you in the next one, and have a good day. I might as well show off how it kind of functions. So talk stickies are out, so this is a boss. What we'll do is we'll drop the bubble, we'll start shooting, we'll throw one knife, and then we won't have to reload. We stack as many as we want to stack, pop another bubble, get the fire rate. When we're ready, we swap, and then just shoot with the normal board, and you'll see all the damage. And we don't have to do anything. And that's it. If you want to add more damage and the boss is a bit beefier, pop a rep kit before you swap to your other bod or whatever other weapon to proc all the stickies, and then that's all your damage.